So, there you
So good
go.
morning. My name is Alan Richardson, I'm the managing broker here at Maximum Realty and Realtor Partners. And this is our weekly real estate backstory. We do this every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Kind of help you get started off for the week, kind of go over the comings and goings of the real estate world and what we see happening. So we kind of want to jump in this week and talk about sellers. The market is, we are in a shifting market, and so we're going from where it's been a really hardcore sellers market over to a much more balanced market as far as that goes. And so this past week, I actually had an agent say, like what's the most difficult part of being a great listing agent? And actually my answer surprised her, because my answer is honesty. One of the hardest parts about being a really great listing agent is honesty. And now most people like, come on, Alan, we're honest. Everybody's honest, right? And everybody thinks that they're honest, but allow me to kind of extrapolate a little bit here. So we go up to a listing, or to a potential listing. Sweetest little lady meets us at the door. She is just sweet as punch. House is really cute, picket fence, whole 9 yards. You walk in the door, boom, it hits you like a brick to the face, to the nostrils, really. Cat pee. And I don't mean like oh, a little faint whiff of cats. No. We mean like hardcore, there's been a cat in here whizzing all over the place kind of cat pee. And so, do you care enough to have a really difficult conversation? Do you care enough to be honest? Because you know that if we don't address the cat smell, that's going to hurt her value. And so, on one hand, you have to be very delicate in what you do. You have to be very careful. I mean, not careful, but you have to be very considerate, right? Because we don't want to be rude, and so it's like, so ma'am, I smell that you have a cat. Oh, really? Now this lady has lived there for the last 15 years without her husband passed away. It's
Yeah,
just been her
but
and the
her
cats.
smell kind of gone away as she aged.
Right. And
So,
so
and she couldn't smell it. So, but we try to be as delicate as we can at addressing the issue. And at the end of the day, always circle back and let them know that you are there for their well-being and that you are representing them. And it doesn't
Mhm.
behoove you to get the minimum amount to sell. Your objective is to get the most amount of money for the individual. And
In the
depending on
shortest
the
amount of time possible. Yeah.
and penny, well, sometimes client has time to wait,
Hmm.
and therefore they're okay with listing high and dropping it down. Those are conversations you have to have with your
Right.
client, just to let them know, all right, plan A, I know what you want. This is what's going to happen if you want to go that route, but I'm willing to work with you and move forward to that route if you like. But understand these are the timeline we're looking at. And B, if you want to sell quickly because you're in time restrained, then you might want to consider go just slightly below market because that's going to attract more buyers and sometimes multiple
Yeah.
offers.
Well, but getting back to where I was starting here was like that honesty part. It's much more difficult when you're actually in that conversation with the seller.
It is.
Like my teenage son, he lives in the basement. Well, he has to leave for showings, and he shouldn't be here really kind of at all. And no, he can't smoke pot in the basement right now. Well, I mean, but it's serious. Like that's going to hurt their values. The house is dirty. How do you say that the house is dirty? We know that a dirty house sells slower and for less money. So you have to get the house cleaned up. Or really bad, if it's cluttered. Pets is another really challenging one, because
Well,
we all have our babies, right? Our pets
well,
are part
during
of our
COVID,
family.
pet was adopted more widespread than it ever has been a record of pet adoption. So, with that, we understand that that's your comfort. That's your, so for some people, it's emotional support. We totally get it.
But we have to be honest, right? And so like we've had clients who are like, well, he's just a pit bull. He doesn't hurt anyone. He's so
He's
sweet,
never,
and he's
yeah.
never been crated. I can't crate him. Well, then he has to leave. We can't leave this dog here for showings. That's impossible, because all we'll have is a bunch of agents standing at the front door wetting themselves. I would, kind of thing. So,
Well, you never know what the pet's going to do, especially one that are perceived of
no.
being aggressor and a protector actually of their owners. And so therefore, it keep a lot of buyer from even viewing your property.
So, and probably the last trickiest conversation, which Ming kind of talked about, is that conversation about price. The market is changing. And so,
is.
we also have like the reality for our sellers and what they think is reality versus like we kind of have to be doing a little bit of a shake them a little bit of a wake up call. It's time to realize, like right now we have sellers that expect a bidding war. And reality is,
You may not get it, depending on the location, the property condition,
and
and
the
the price.
right,
At the end of the day, price is driven by a lot of client, what they perceive the house is or is not worth. So,
And here's a really novel idea. Sometimes, I mean, like back in the day, normally your best offer was your first offer. Getting 15 offers in on a property is not normal. This has been an abnormal market. And so we need to make sure that the sellers understand that. Buyers willing to pay well over asking price. That is really softening up right now.
yeah, remember, during the last year and partially this year, all the buyers that actually saved, they already got a house. So now you're left with buyers that have saved and not necessarily always have the best credit score. And so you're working with buyers that are stretching their their dollar. So therefore, when they make an offer with a rising interest rate, that's the best they can do and nothing more.
Well, but it's also that the market is it's leveling out. So just being able to name some astronomical, crazy high price that comps don't support and expecting people are going to pay cash and go over, that's not reality. The days of in the past, a lot of our buyers would waive contingencies, which we've been very much against. I don't like.
It just
I
that
don't
we see a
recommend
lot of
waiving.
buyer remorse, and honestly, I actually now are seeing more FHA, BA, and believe it or not, we just closed one a DPA program.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then another one is that homes would sell. Up to now, the belief's just been, well, I just put it on the market. I don't have to do anything to it. Wrong. It's got to be in show ready condition.
And let me just give you a good advice right now too. Educate your client.
Yeah.
If you have an offer coming in the very first day, it's a blind offer. Let your client know the house has not been saturated in the market long enough to have a true value. What a client, the public is demanding the value of the home. So normally, minimum, I will wait at least 5 to 7 days before you make that decision, if you have multiple offers.
Yeah. And then, probably the last thing we kind of want to touch, and that is the sellers are like, well, I'll just wait for a full price cash offer. Guess what? Those are not necessarily coming. And so that's a real challenge for us in being able to have that conversation. Like Ming just said, maybe FHA is the best offer, maybe VA, it may be conventional. It's one of those where, yes, we all know that cash is king, but we're seeing the number of cash offers going down. And so we have to make sure that we're communicating this to our sellers, that the market, it's not a bad market. It's even still a seller's market. It's just that it's not so one-sided now.
And depending on the price point too, anything less than 300 right now still go for seller.
Yeah.
But anything above that now, it may be a negotiation. And buyer's agent, don't push it at the same time, because sometimes when you push it too hard, the listing agent is going to advise their client, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, good properties are still going quickly.
Yes, it does.
So we kind of want to jump into something we have coming up next week. And so we have the Tom Ferry Summit. It's going to be live in all of our partners' offices.
It's such a good time.
It
really
is. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. It's going to be live streamed out of Dallas, Texas. And so we try and really work really hard to make it so like you are actually there attending. We have the books printed out. We have breakfast and lunch sponsors for every single day. Tons of great vendors that are going to be there to speak with us and be able to assist you in your business. And then just a ton of learning. We're going to, if I can hit the right button. So like these are just some of the topics they're covering for next week. Booking 100 appointments
in the next 12 months. Yeah, that's a lot of appointments.
Hey, and well, appointments lead to listings.
That's
Appointments
right.
lead
Well,
to clients. So
yeah.
it's I love appointments.
Agent to investors.
Yep.
And business lessons of what some of these folks have learned in the current market.
Yeah. building your brand. But I just wanted to kind of give you a brief overview. We're not going to jump into it hardcore, but understand that there's a lot of really great information that we can be talking about covering. And we're all but begging you, please come out. There's no cost for it. It's completely free. Plus you get 6 hours CE for every single day that you're there.
And
Yeah.
our affiliate is putting this on, and so please be here for them. If nothing else, it's a good networking
Yeah.
program. Not only that, sometimes, my major's in county. And until I took Dave Renzi's class, I didn't
Mhm.
realize, I know how number works, but I didn't realize what it takes to look at what you sacrifice
Yeah.
now versus what you gain in the future. So all I'm saying is that this is a well worth information that you need to, if nothing else, just expose yourself
Yep.
to it if you want to grow your
It's
real
worth
estate
your time.
business.
Yeah. All right. We want to move over here into perceptions versus reality. So right now, more people than ever are Googling, will the housing market crash? And so, at the same time, we also saw the consumer sentiment, the housing indicator kind of thing, as far as like, is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? Like, is it a good time to buy? It's down at 17%, probably one of the lowest it's been in a decade.
Mhm.
And so, thing is that we are not seeing that that's actually the reality of it. Is that right now we are seeing where inventory is increasing to where we're seeing where prices are leveling off. They're not going to drop. That's the thing. We're not looking at a 2008 style housing crash. So property values aren't going to drop. Inventory is increasing. Rates are volatile, but they're not like they're hovering right around in the low fives to high fours.
And I
They're
think
still a really good price.
the lender, you'll see a little bit correction from
Yeah.
the lender simply because they got to sustain some type of volume. If not, you'll see a lot of lending company may let go their LOs.
Yeah. And so, like I said, the mortgage rates are volatile. It's a 5.22 this week. It was a 4.99 last week. And so understand that what's causing the mortgage rate volatility,
Mhm.
and that's the market. As people move in and out of the 10-year treasury, that's what mortgage rates follow the 10-year treasury. And so one day we get good news on the economy, next day we get bad news, or whatever's happening in on that market, that's what's driving our mortgage rates right now. So overall, though, if you look at like the health of the mortgage industry, it is really, really strong. You can see that this is mortgage originations by credit score. You can see how like if you look back at like how the vast majority of our buyers are in really good credit range kind of thing, plus the amount of equity that folks have. At the same time, this is our mortgage Mortgage Bankers Association. This shows the moving average on purchase applications. So you can see that purchase applications are trending up, right? So there's still a lot of feelings of negativity, things like that. But the at the end of the day, inventory is increasing, mortgage availability is really good. Interest rates are hovering in that high 4 to low 5 range, which is still historically amazing, right? What was our first house? 10% almost kind of thing, 9%, something like that. Yeah.
You're dating yourself, you know that.
But that's true, but that's okay. But at the same time, Lawrence Young, the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, he came out and said, listen, slowing inflation suggests that mortgage rates may have topped out, that maybe we're at the top of where the mortgage rates are. That's kind of his take on it. I'd love to see that. We're not sure exactly how that's going to ride yet. But I think that really is a good play for us. If we see interest rates leveling off and staying somewhere in that 4 to 5 range.
Used to that beautiful 3% less than 8 months ago.
Yeah.
So it's about supply and demand. So it'd be interesting to see what Federal is going to do with that as well, because Federal is the one who actually lend the money to the mortgage brokers, who in turn sell that mortgage to you. So therefore, and that's why it follows Treasury notes, not necessarily what is going on in the mortgage industry.
All right, so active listings, our total listings are up, which we kind of been looking at, and we're seeing active inventory increasing. Now we say that, but what I want you to really see is like what's active inventory versus 2017, 2018, 2019. We're like 40% of the inventory that we had just 4 or 5 years ago, kind of thing. So yes, inventory is increasing. We're glad to see that. We're nowhere near historical norms. So we
It
just
is
don't have.
increasing from last year, but not the year prior
Yep.
during COVID time. So
Yep. Now, at the same time, our inventory of newly listed homes, the number of new homes coming onto our market, guess what?
it's
Down.
increased.
Right. And so it's one of those things where no one in our market is selling and not going somewhere.
And so what does this mean is that even though our inventory is up, what that means is that we have more active listing, meaning that
They're sitting on the market
they're
longer.
sitting on market longer. And that's partially back to what we said in the beginning of our video, which is, the price is too high and the buyers are not taking it.
I like how you took that full circle there. So our pending listings, those are our pending sales. Pending sales are trending down. And so, yes, they're down from where they were last year or, last year and a half, but we're still higher than we were in previous years. So again, we all know that real estate for the last 2 years was really kind of nutty. We're not looking at that same kind of trend going on right now. This is the number of, this also shows that same listing. So you can see that our total number of listings is much higher than our new listings. That's what's been going on. And a lot of that's coming down to our sellers are not going to sell unless they can buy.
Correct.
And so we need to keep having more inventory coming on the market, more new construction coming on the market. That's really important to us because this is not a market where folks are just going to let's just sell and go be homeless. So let's go live in an RV.
But I can tell you, many of friends actually have cashed out during this time and also basically bought an RV, paid in full, and live, a little more conservatively. And they're all they're projecting the market will crash, and that at that time they'll buy another property.
We're just not seeing that.
But honestly, still inventory right now versus demand is still off balance. So, the biggest question is price point.
Always, price is king. So our days on market is trending up. It's still 2 days less than last year, though. So we still have lower days on market this year than last year. What we are seeing is a trend where the days on market is increasing. And so we totally expect that. That's really normal. We know that we have a lot more standing inventory that has longer days on market. So we're going to see higher days on market. The fact that it is still this low shows that the new properties coming on the market, when they're priced, they're going right away.
Absolutely.
They really are not sitting there at all. And so for those properties that are sitting on the market, what are we seeing?
Price decrease.
Price reductions, right? So we're seeing some of the highest number, of price reductions, higher than we've seen in the last 2 years. But again, we're just getting back to historical normal trends on the number of price reductions.
Back to, seller think they're still in double-digit increase in value, and that's just not going to stretch over a year after year after year. So we're probably on the third year of what I call significant increase. So therefore, now you're going to see the price leveling out. What that means is that it's not a decrease or a downturn market. It just means the price is leveling out to where the market will hold.
And as this slide shows, what we see is the prices are over last year, but look at our trends. Our trends are starting to go flat. And that's really what we've been expecting. I mean, we're still running double-digit increases, less here in Georgia, but nationwide, it's about 16%.
Oh, well, if you look at that yellow curve line, it's still way above 2021, 2020, in any time. Prior to.
Now, here in the Atlanta market, we're looking at a median list price that's right at 8.89% higher than it was last year. Median list price per square foot is up about 10%. However, our total active listings are up 45%. On the other side of that, new listings are down 6%. So again, we're seeing the same trends here in Atlanta. So more standing inventory overall, but they're sitting on our market longer, and so we're seeing more price reductions. We're also seeing offers coming in on those listings under asking, significantly under asking on some of them, kind of thing, because the market is going back to a more balanced place.
Correct.
So, in speaking of that, we're seeing where home buyer competition
fall to the lowest level, which is good for our buyer, because I can tell you right now, with the increased interest rate, it is a struggle for most of our buyer to purchase.
And for our sellers, we need to make sure that we're letting our sellers know that, there's this big preconceived notion with a lot of sellers that you have to have 15 offers or else something's wrong.
Well, yeah, the real estate agent's not doing
like
his
you haven't
job.
done your job if I don't have multiple offers. You know how many offers you need to sell a house? One. That's all you need, kind of thing.
One solid
Yeah, I mean,
buyer.
right. That's what I mean. But like this idea that we have to generate, we're hearing of sellers who are like, well, let's just leave it on the market. I only have 5 offers. No, like this is ridiculous, kind of thing. So we have to be realistic about what it is, and we have to, but that's going to come down to us communicating with our clients and knowing that the market is going back to a more balanced place. At the same time, foreclosure activity slid down 4%. So why would like everybody's like, oh, is the market going to crash? Housing's going bad. Foreclosure activity went down.
Knows they got equity, y'all. They Google online just like you and I do online information, and so therefore they understand that they have equity, even if they need to cash out. It'll set them up with some money for.
I don't know anybody that's underwater. I mean, especially looking at those previous slides, you can see how much property values have dropped. I mean, have increased. And so everybody's got equity. And so now the economy may force some people to have to make some decisions about housing, but they've probably got enough equity where that's going to be like a positive situation for them. They may not want to move, but they can move and capture that equity versus going into foreclosure. So we're seeing where foreclosure activity, if you hear anyone talking about, and honestly, like this slide could be miswritten by the news, right? Because overall, foreclosure activity is up 143% from last year. Right, but we still have foreclosure moratoriums, eviction moratoriums going on, things like that. We're still at historically crazy low levels of foreclosure activity just because nobody's upside down. Last time I checked, there was 5 HUD homes in the entire state of Georgia. So now, speaking of Georgia,
and just remember, like everybody else, that 5 property is being bid by folks thinking
everybody.
If the property has value. Now, if HUD listed too high, like anybody else, it's going to be sitting in the market for a while, and they'll start reducing.
HUD's a fair market now. It's not like it used to be in the day.
It's not in the past where they actually provide appraisal or anything like that.
All right, now speaking of being here in Georgia, so this is from the National Association of Realtors, and these are the folks out of market, the percentage of folks who are outside of the market looking into other markets. And when you look at affordability, yes, we see here in Georgia our affordability has gone down. But when you compare us to New York and California and some of these other crazy places, when I say crazy, just the comparison between
price volume,
right? We have we have buyers coming out of New York that are walking in with $350,000 equities, kind of thing. And so New York is the #1 state for folks to move to Georgia from. And so you can see that the number of folks who are looking outside of other markets shows why Atlanta is still a really, really good market for us to be in. So we're very blessed to be here. We have a positive inflow of people moving into Georgia. We're in a really good place on that. Don't get wrapped up in the whole negativity of the market's changing, that real estate's going bad. That's not happening. If you have decided that the market's going to crush you, then we talked about this at the sales meeting this past month. If you've decided that the market's bad, then you're going to hurt your own business.
Absolutely.
But if you decided that no matter what, look, I've chosen not to participate, right? And if there's a recession, I'm not playing that game. And so if you'll go that route, it's going to be really important for your business. So education this week. So on Tuesday, we have remodels, rehabs, and new construction, how not to get ripped off. That's in person over in our Newton office.
And I know a lot of people are asking that question, and I'm sure that the speaker will have some folks that is affiliated with him that they trust.
Well, and then on Wednesday, we have 1031 exchanges here in our McDonough office.
Hey, y'all, you talked about a long time about investors shifting their money and how to save some money. 1031 is a great way of saving the taxes that a investor would have paid at closing and apply that toward the next purchase.
Yeah. And then over in West Georgia on Thursday, we have intro to Connect MLS. Connect MLS is Georgia MLS's newest product over there. We still have a lot of us still have a lot of questions about it, that kind of stuff. And so it's still got the new car smell to it. So let's make sure that we're getting the education we need so we can really take advantage of these new kind of tools out here. So
Well, not only that, it makes your job a little easier.
Yeah.
Makes your life a lot easier, I promise.
hope you have a great week. If we can be any service, please call, text, smoke signals. We do it all. See you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a great Monday. Take